Pro wrestling, if you really want to get into it and you really want to talk about it, number one, you have to recognize something very important, which is that it's the last great commercial bastion of performance art. It is true performance art. People suffer for their craft. These guys get hurt. If you're listening to this and you've never seen pro wrestling and you're thinking, pro wrestling is fake, you need to watch a little bit of pro wrestling there. You can't fake falling 8 feet onto your back. That mat is not a crash pad. It hurts. These guys suffer every night, and they're actors, ultimately. They use what is essentially dance, the art form of pro wrestling.
First of all, people say wrestling is fake, but that's idiocy because these guys get hurt all the time and put their bodies on the line for this. You don't see Chuck Norris actually getting his back broken in these fights. You don't see Jason Statham getting destroyed. A character in wrestling is made up of many different parts, not just like good or bad. Wrestling is your whole body. It's dance mixed with stunt work. I mean, he portrays, even as he's saying, he has to think while you're being hurt. You have to think about the best way to make getting hurt look great.
Wrestling is melodrama. Wrestling is mythology. Wrestling is action. Wrestling is comic books. The only thing wrestling isn't is wrestling.
What is going on, guys? This is Paul Bradley with the Indie Profiles podcast, back from a small hiatus. And I'm excited to bring you today the man behind Cade. We got Jason Cade in with us today. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? What's going on?
Nothing much. How about you?
I'm just chilling. Just got back from the gym. Keep myself looking right, keep myself feeling right. About to go to training later. You never really stop training no matter how many years you're in business.
I understand that. So, yeah, on this podcast, we really go through from the beginning of your fascination with wrestling to your career to basically today. And so I really want to start out with, was there something, watching either, WWF or WCW, or a character or a moment you saw that you went, okay, I need to do this?
Oh, man. I really have been, a fan of wrestling since I can remember. I think when I first came home from the hospital, my uncle, sat me down in the car seat, and we watched, wrestling. But I was, a WWF guy growing up.
Right.
I knew about WCW, but, I never really, I knew, stuff that was going on, but I didn't really watch it because, I was a WWF guy,
It was a war. You had your loyalties.
Yeah, I was a loyal WWF guy. I didn't really watch WCW, and I couldn't really people say they watch ECW. I didn't watch ECW when I was growing up because it came on 2 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't stay up that late. So all the ECW stuff I saw after the fact. But I remember my favorite wrestler growing up was Shawn Michaels. I love Shawn Michaels. He's the god of wrestling to me. Shawn Michaels. And I became a huge fan of RVD once I got exposed to him. Those were my 2 favorite wrestlers. I knew I wanted to wrestle since I could talk. Since I could talk pretty much. That's all I would talk about.
That's an interesting 2 favorites to combine. Because when you look at people's style on the independents, I mean their favorites always kind of show up in their style. That's what I love. And when you have multiple favorites, you get this crazy combination.
Mm-hmm. So when I was coming up, when I was first training, Steve Kern, he was telling me, what I like to tell people is you pick your 5 favorite guys and just see what you can take from each guy.
Right.
And try to mold yourself out after that, and your characters should really just be who you are, with the volume turned up. Me in the ring is just me outside of the ring, just the volume turned up way to 100, so I'm just, what you see is what you get with me. Is no I'm not really a character, a gimmick per se. I'm just me.
Yeah, that is always the best character in wrestling, though, because you can tell when someone's uncomfortable, when they're not themselves. But when you turn yourself up to 1,000, you just see this kind of comfort and charisma come out.
Yeah, it's just natural. Anything else, I feel I'm lying to the fans.
Right.
I'm just me. I'm just a guy, a dude that loves wrestling. So that's all I do.
And it also says here that you were trained under Norman Smiley. Can you take me through that?
Yeah. So when I first started training, I was 21. It was right after WrestleMania 28, and I was like, man, forget. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try to learn how to wrestle. See if I can find a school or something. And I just so happened to see that right when they were transitioning from FCW to NXT, they were doing this beginners class.
Oh,
like
right.
3 months, you go down to FCW and you get trained by like Norman Smiley and Steve Kern, who were the coaches in developmental at the time. So I was like, well, I got $1,500, so I just went down. I trained with them, and like I guess what I got on my basis was like my base in the basics. Anything I got from like Norman and Steve. Like Norman would be in the ring with me all the time. I'll show up an hour early, and I would try to stay as late as possible and say, kick us out. And like, I actually saw Norman back in June for the first time in a couple of years, and like, he just caught up like it was like we like we never left. Like, we picked up where we left off. Nothing never changed.
That's awesome. I've heard nothing but good things about Smiley when it comes to training and developing talent.
He's the best. Like I learned so much from Norman just in the 3 months that I was there, and like he'll still like keep up with me and stuff and see how I'm doing and everything. So I like to give him a call or text every now and then. I'm actually calling him later. I haven't talked to him since I saw him in June or July, was it? I think it was June.
And growing up in New York, was there a good independent scene that you were aware of, or were you just like, it's WWE? That's it.
I didn't know anything about the Indies until I was actually on the Indies. Because I moved from New York when I was like 12, and I lived in Atlanta until I graduated high school. Then I moved here, and I knew nothing about independent wrestling except like Ring of Honor. My friend showed me CM Punk and Tyler Black, and I was like, oh man, it's cool, but that's all I knew. I didn't know anything. I thought like people just showed up in WWE, and then when they stopped wrestling for WWE, they just stopped wrestling. I didn't know anything about it.
That's what I thought until I heard about Ring of Honor too, and then you just kind of go down the rabbit hole,
Yeah, I had no idea. I just thought like, well, you're done wrestling for WWE, and WCW's not a thing anymore. Either they go to TNA or they stop wrestling. Like that's all. That's what I knew. I didn't know anything else.
Right.
But now, like, I'm glad I know about the Indies because like the Indies is like a lot of time. Also, if you look at like the top guys in like WWE right now, like most of them are indie guys.
Almost all of them, Rollins and Moxley and Steen.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Even John Cena did a couple of indies for a little bit. Like,
right.
I've seen some indie matches with John Cena, but like the indies is where you go to like learn. You can't, and not everyone is gonna be lucky enough to just go right to WWE and learn from there. Which it's a great system. Don't get me wrong, but you really learn by like actually wrestling different guys and going to different markets and seeing how fans react to you in different areas. So the indies are great.
Yeah, totally. How do you feel about WWE's whole new movement of not ignoring the indies as much, things with like the Cruiserweight Classic where they seem to like want to incorporate it?
I think it's great for the business as a whole because like it's them acknowledging there's other wrestling out there and it's showing that like hey, they're not just looking at like bodybuilders and everything. Like, everyone has a chance now. Whereas before, like maybe everyone didn't really have too much of a chance, but now everyone has a chance. Everyone's on a level playing field because it's more about like your talent and what you can do, rather than like, oh, this guy looks great.
And just that, I don't know if you watched the most recent episode of the Cruiserweight Classic with Cedric Alexander.
I have not seen it yet. I heard great things about it. I once I saw the match was announced, I knew it was going to be great because Ibushi and Alexander are great. But I haven't been doing my homework. I haven't been able to get a chance to sit down and watch it yet. But I will.
Well, just to catch you up, great match. But at the end is what is so memorable because the crowd starts chanting, "Please sign Cedric." Cedric Alexander's walking out, almost crying, and then they're chanting it so loud that Triple H, comes through the curtain, like gives the crowd a thumbs up, says, "All right," and then he like shakes Cedric's hand and takes him to the back. and you just think, oh my, I never thought I'd see this. The indies getting this much endorsement straight on WWE's biggest platform.
Yeah, like that's the biggest thing that could have happened. Triple H just has a great mind for the business. You see what he's doing in NXT, and how he's changing WWE. Like Triple H, the callous behind it. I've got to meet him once. We didn't get to talk to him too much. He was on the Evolve show that I was at, but I'm glad that like WWN, which is my home, was working with them because like just nothing but good things is going to come. And wrestling's going towards the boom right now.
Right.
And like it's the indies that's starting it.
Speaking of Evolve, a lot of people who've known you have seen you in Full Impact Pro and Evolve more or less recently, but you've been with Evolve for quite some time.
Yeah, I've been. I debuted for Evolve in January, but like I've been with WWN FIP since 2014.
Right.
I want to say March of 2014, so like almost 3 years now. But even before that, like I was around for forever because I was the one doing the ring crew and doing the pre-shows before the FIP shows actually started. So I've really been around for like 3 years with WWN. Now you're roughly 4. So yeah, like 3 years I've been with WWN. Like I'm a WWN guy.
Yeah.
Like with Evolve, I did some pre-shows for them before I actually got. It's just keep grinding, showing up, helping set up chairs and do whatever I can to be helpful. And gave me an opportunity, and just ran with it. And every opportunity he gives me, I just keep going with it and see what happens. So I get the next one.
Yeah,
That's all you can do in this business. Just take
right.
advantage of whatever opportunity you're given.
Give all you can. It may do something for you,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed your match with tagging with Darby Allin against the Ravato brothers. That was really...
that was actually the first time I actually got to be in the ring with the Ravatos, and like, it was the first time I met Darby also, but we just like put something together that it just became memorable. And like Ravatos are great. Like I've worked with them, like around them, because I've been around Evolve forever. But like that's nothing. Like being able to be in the locker room and listening to guys talk like about their matches and everything, it rubs off on you.
Yeah.
So even if you're not on the show, it's kind of like the same thing as like let's say the NBA. Blake Griffin was out for his rookie year. He was injured, but he was like on the bench listening to the vets, soaking it in. So when he got to play, he was healthy. It was an easy transition because he was able to soak up all that knowledge that he got from just listening. It's the same thing with wrestling. Like just being around guys that are more experienced, that travel the world. Just look at the people I've got to share a locker room with: Rich Swann, Sami Callihan, A.R. Fox, Chris Hero, Johnny Gargano. These guys are like Ricochet. These guys are like the who's who of the Indies, and just being able to listen to them and get advice from them that helps so much.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when you look back on some of the most, successful wrestlers, most of them would, when you go back to their early careers, would say, "Oh, I was always in Guerrilla, watching other matches, listening in, or I was always just absorbing everything I could." And that's really what you have to do to get there. You just have to be completely palpable and say, "I need as much information as I can."
That's the only way you learn. Just absorbing, just being a sponge. People say all the time it's a cliche, but it's true. Just like as long as you just listen, like you'll be okay. And be open for advice. It could be even like to this day, I still ask everybody for advice. Me and Fox were on the same show this past weekend, and like he watched my match and asked for advice. Like that's how you get better.
Also, talking about Evolve, when it comes to kind of the new faces who've been showing up, it seems like you and Darby are the ones who we've seen the most.
Yeah, it's just the people that Gabe has a rotating door of who he comes in, and Gabe has a plan for everybody. So like, just it's just a matter of, like, being ready when your name is called, and can't when you get the opportunity.
The first
That's what I try to do.
one of the first times I heard about you was when I saw a GIF of the during the Bravados match where you jumped off the rope and onto the basketball goal, which was just my mouth dropped and I went, "Oh my god!"
So funny enough, like, it was when we set up the ring, they were like, we can't put the basketball goal up because like it didn't go up for some reason. So I was like, okay. So I looked. I said, hey Gabe, I have this idea. Can I do it? He was like, sure. You sure you can make it? I said, Gabe, I got this. And we went out and did it, and it just got a huge reaction. And like, it was a lot of fun too. Like getting into the ring before the match even started, I slipped on my entrance. Like, oh man, this match didn't go.
Right.
But luckily, like, I was like, please don't let me mess this up. And like, it just worked, and it was memorable. It got so many like retweets and likes and shit. Like, it was crazy.
And it wasn't even that. When you think of Evolve, you just think kind of straight technical wrestling, but it didn't feel like it was too much. It just felt like that's an awesome spot. Just to add to wrestling.
Just enough to add my own flavor to Evolve. But like yeah, Evolve was like a lot of like straight technical wrestling, but like what Gabe has always been good at is just giving everybody a mix of hey, look at any promotion Gabe books, whether it's Evolve, when he was booking Ep5 before, Dragon USA, had something for everybody. So like that's it's just me trying to see what I do and make it make it work.
Right.
Make it see where it fits in.
Yeah, and also you were in there with Darby Allin, who's kind of gotten a bit of notoriety for some online presence as well. Because I remember the first time I saw him I was on Twitter and Botchamania had retweeted about that horrible bump he took where his legs hit the guardrail.
Oh yeah, that had to hurt.
And I was just like, because I knew Darby going into that match, and I had heard about you, and I went, okay, well, Darby's gonna do something crazy, so let's see what Cade can do to see if he can match him. And you definitely delivered.
Yeah, I just I try to just I try to just make the best of every opportunity. And Gabe even tweeted about it because he was like, Jason Cade had a small spot and he made the best of it, made it memorable, and that's what you got to do. Just make people remember you. See, we'll talk about me for that basketball spot, and like I'm glad it got over so well.
Yeah, but immediately after that match, I also immediately was like, I gotta learn about this guy, And that's what you want. You just want that notoriety.
Yeah,
and you want.
And I'm grateful for having a platform that I do. There's a lot of guys that are really good that don't get the platform, to show the world what they can do, and like the opportunities that I have to show the world, it's worked, and it's got me some buzz, and I just hope it keeps going.
And I think WWN is really good about that. That they have a lot of little kind of smaller promotions under their umbrella that they can use to groom some talent. But at the same time, it's almost like a feeder system to Evolve, which is like the biggest platform for a WWN talent to get.
Yeah, and Evolve, what can say? Well, no, we don't know what the relationship is. Nothing's been confirmed, but like it's kind of a feeder to NXT. If you look at it when it's coming around and the relationship that's going on with WWN and WWE, it's great. It's great for business.
Right. And a lot of people have been wondering about Matt Riddle possibly going to WWE. Have you had any experiences with him, inside or out of the ring?
Inside the ring, no. Outside the ring, I love Matt Riddle. Like, he's one of my favorite people that's come into an Evolve locker room. him. Like he's just it's a really cool dude. He loves wrestling too. So like Matt Riddle, like every time I see him, just like bro, because that's like whoever you see in the ring, that's who Matt Riddle is.
Right.
He's just a bro. He's real cool. Like him, like like just hanging out with him like in Dallas, and then when he came back whenever they're in Orlando, like Matt Riddle's the man. I love Matt Riddle.
Yeah, he's definitely become a name synonymous with Evolve, because when I think of current Evolve, I immediately think Timothy Thatcher, Drew Gulak, and Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
So
I think Gabe's good at finding talent, and because like before the names with Evolve were Ricochet, Swan, Gargano, AR Fox, and like Ricochet has been in Japan, Fox has been all over. Swan with the WWE, he had to replace those guys as he builds up. Tim Thatcher, Matt Riddle, Drew Gulak. Gabe's just great at finding talent.
and I definitely think that you will definitely start ascending through the Evolve rankings, my friend, because I mean you've got that charisma, and you really draw people in with your performance.
I hope so. I just gotta be ready whenever Father Gabriel calls my name.
When it comes to your career overall, would you say the Bravado Brothers match was the highlight, or is there one specific instance that you'd say is the highlight of your career?
I think the highlight would be Mercury Rising this past year in Dallas. That was the biggest stage I've been on. It's WrestleMania weekend. First time I got to wrestle in WrestleMania weekend. First time I've had a title shot at a world title. I got to be in there with Caleb Conley, who was a good friend of mine that I haven't got to wrestle yet. And I remember intermission before our match, Mick Foley is in the back. And I asked him,
crap.
"Hey, would you mind watch the match?" He goes, "Sure." So he sits on the stage. If you watch it during the match, you can see Mick Foley sitting on the stage across the hard cam,
Right.
in the crowd with everybody. Yeah, I just went out and I just gave my all. And I got to the back, and Mick Foley was asking for advice. He told me I was great, and to have Mick Foley put me over was like a huge thing. And that was like the biggest stage I had ever been on too. As most people I've been in front of also. Like that's the highlight of my career so far.
That's a great moment, being given that endorsement by such a legend.
Yeah, like Mick. I remember watching this guy when I was growing up. And now I'm like standing in face to face with him, and like he's telling me that I'm good. I'm like, what? Mick Foley, like saying good things about me? That's crazy. Like I didn't like 10-year-old me would like be losing his mind, thinking like it's Mick Foley. Like, oh my god.
That's crazy. So
another like highlight.
yes.
I was like a year and a half in, and I had a tag team match against Matt Hardy and Shane Helms.
Oh my
And
god.
I was like so nervous because I was like, this is before I was comfortable with who I am, and before all the Fly Cade Fly stuff, before I even knew who I was. And like I'm just nervous because but we just went out and had a match, and like I was so like I was selling to the back. I get through the curtain, I just went sprinting down the hallway, so excited because I just wrestled Matt Hardy and the Hurricane. I was like, oh my god, I couldn't believe it. It was like that was another highlight. In fact, I got to share a ring with Matt Hardy. Another and on Hurricane, two guys I grew up watching. Like, I love the Hardy Boys. Like I still do. Shout out to the Final Deletion and Brother Nero. But like, it's crazy the fact that I got to like share a ring with them.
We'll get back to the story of your career in a second, but since you brought it up, what did you think of the Final Deletion?
I thought it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in wrestling. I completely loved it. It was great storytelling, and like I actually I'm not sure how familiar you are with Nikki Storm, good friend of mine.
Yeah, great wrestler.
Hanging out the other day, and she was like, "Yeah, haven't seen the Final Deletion." I was like, "No, you can see it." So we stopped. I think we were binge watching Scream season 2, which is a great show that I love. Season finale is tomorrow. maybe I just need to be stopped so you can watch the final deletion. And she's like, oh my God, it was life changing. I said, I told you, it was the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing that's ever been on TNA TV.
I think it's crazy that Lucha Underground, I think, kind of brought a bit of that cinematic style to the forefront of professional wrestling. Because, I mean, yeah, WWE did it with the New Day and the Wyatts, the final deletion, you know. It's crazy.
Even if you look at, like, just the way SmackDown is shot now, like, the angles are kind of like Lucha Underground angles. It's different. Yeah, I think it's great.
And I also think it's
Underground is like changed the business.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy that we're kind of getting to see the rise of Lucha Underground. And when it first started, I went, "Oh, that's not going to go very far," you know. But then once I saw a couple episodes, I went, "Oh my God," you know, like this is something really revolutionary.
Yeah, and it's so different because it's not a wrestling show with TV; it's a TV show with wrestling.
Yeah.
So it's like it has something for everybody. I personally love Lucha Underground.
And probably my favorite part of Lucha Underground is the fact that it uses older talent like, you know, Johnny Mundo and Rey Mysterio and not even really old, but Ricochet. And then they combine it with wrestlers we haven't really seen before, like Angelico, Jeff Cobb, and, you know, Ray Horace. And then, you know, it's because, I mean, like, guys like Pentagon and Phoenix and Aerostar are now, like, mainstays of the indies. We didn't even know who these guys were 2 years ago, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's amazing.
Well, unless you were, like, you knew about what's going on in Mexico, I didn't know. I didn't know about, you know, Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix and Aerostar, but now it's Lucha Underground. Everybody knows who they are.
Would you say it's a goal in your career to someday make it to Lucha Underground? Or would you be fine just kind of missing it if it meant going to something bigger?
I mean, it's a goal to work everywhere for me. Like, I want to do stuff with TNA. I want to do stuff with Ring of Honor. I want to do stuff with, you know, Lucha Underground. Maybe go to Japan. Like, obviously the main goal is NXT. Like, that's WWE. That's the main goal. And, like, if I had to miss out on other things, you know, before, like, if I had the opportunity to go to WWE tomorrow, and I miss out on, like, a PWG, a TNA, Lucha Underground, like, I'm okay with that.
Well, yeah.
But, like, it's definitely, like, I want to wrestle everywhere. I want to be a guy that you never know where Jason Cade's going to show up. Because I can be in Miami, Florida on Friday, Toronto, Canada on Saturday, and LA on Sunday. Like, I want to go everywhere. So, yeah, I could say it's a goal.
I understand that. So after the FCW training camp with Smiley, what promotion really did you get your foot in the door that kind of at least gave you a solid check?
The first place I was ever booked was a place called SCW, Southern Championship Wrestling, that ran in Sanford, Florida. And I actually got booked because I'm good friends with Byron Saxton, who I met like
wow.
training. And yeah, me and Saxton became great friends. And he that was a place that he works for when he was on the Indies. So he put in a good word for me, and they gave me an opportunity. And I just started wrestling matches. And eventually I ended up meeting Frankie Gastineau, who was a referee for WWN, worked there for 10 years. He brought me to FIP, and you know, I started setting up, got me in front of Sal and everybody, and the rest is history. Now I'm a WWN guy.
That's awesome. Do you remember your first WWN match?
My first WWN match was a pre-show for FIP, and I believe I wrestled Chico Adams.
I'm not familiar with the name, but
yeah, he's a local guy in Orlando, and that was the first opportunity I got, and I just went out, did my best, killed it, and got another opportunity for a pre-show, and more, and eventually I got on the main show. It was me and my partner Aaron Solo, Flying Solo.
Right.
Against, this is before we actually had a name. We were just like the two guys thrown together to wrestle the Juicy Product. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
Just like, it was supposed to be just a match for the Juicy Product to highlight them. We went out and we just made something special and we killed it. And it's like, well, we're going to keep bringing these guys back. And Flying Solo became a tag team, a mainstay in F5P.
You just got to let them underestimate you, and then you just got to knock it out of the park, you know?
That's pretty much what happens. I just keep rolling the dice. They keep stirring them up. I just keep knocking them down, and just keep getting more opportunities that way.
Is there someone you've met along the way, either in FCW training or WWN or Evolve, that you just found like this crazy chemistry, kind of like a Steen Generico vibe, where you're just like, we can always put on a great match, and I feel like we've always been meant to wrestle?
There's not really anyone I've wrestled like that many times, like Steen Generico, but I remember the first person I really just hit it off with, and we're still best friends like to this day. We live across the street from each other. Is Rich Swann.
Right.
Me and Rich Swann just hit it off, and we became friends. We only got to wrestle each other one time. It was like a year ago, like maybe like 6 months before he got signed. So Rich Swann's a guy I have great chemistry with. Sammy Callahan's another guy I have great chemistry with, and we're actually gonna wrestle each other on September 30th for the first time. And one of my best friends, and Fred Yehai. Me and Fred Yehai have been in the ring three times. Like I think we had a 4-way, we had a tag match, and then we did we were the first two in the Florida Rumble at F5P.
Right.
And we just have a great chemistry, and we just click. And Fred Yehai is one of my best friends now. Like I'm happy to see like everything he's doing. I really can't wait to have that one-on-one match that we've been begging to have for months now. But we'll see what happens.
And that's just such a... I love how the three guys you pick, they couldn't be any more different from each other. You know, because you got Fred Yehai, who's so very, vicious and tactical. Then you got Callahan, who really redefines viciousness in such a strong style. And then you got Swann, who's just one of the most charismatic guys I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I just think I think that's crazy.
Really, what I like to tell people is they actually like my training and everything. Like Norman Smiley trained me initially, but Rich Swann, Sammy Callahan, A.R. Fox, those are the guys who are like grooming me and helping me become who I am.
Right.
Because those are the guys who had like some of the most impact on my career. Aaron Epic too. So he's the first person to really let me like take the training wheels off and take the handcuffs, just go out and go balls to the wall and just show what I can do. It's like those 4 guys are really ones I can say like helped, develop me into who I am.
Right. Was Aaron the first guy who, because, in your first year or so, you don't really have much input on match structure. Was he the first guy who was kind of like, okay, what's the finish,
Yeah, he was the first person, like, I remember the first time I met Aaron Epic, I went to training, and I hadn't been for a little bit because my work schedule wasn't working out, but I went to training, I started just doing stuff, he was like, who are you? And like we had a match, and he was like, look, I'm just gonna let you do whatever you want. Like let's just go out, let's see what happens. And it just happened, and we have a really good chemistry also. And every time we have good matches, every time we have a match, it's awesome. But I think now that I'm more comfortable with who I am, and I know what I do, it'll be even better. I don't think I've wrestled Epic in like a year, but he's the first person to really be like, all right, kid, let's see what you got. Let me just, give me input.
And that's when you really have to, being a wrestler is so hard because you have to do so much. And that's really when you test your creativity.
Yeah.
And you got to respect the guy who really lets you, lets him.
Who knows, had I not...
Yeah, newbie give it a shot.
Had I not wrestled Epic and been able to do that, maybe the basketball spot would never happened.
Right.
So I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh, no, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh.
Don't worry. So for this next, from going into 2016, going to 2017, is there like a main point of your career that you really want to reach? Like, I want to appear in this promotion, or I want to have a match with this guy.
I think that definitely on the bucket list for 2016 on to 2017 is a match with AR Fox.
Have you not had a singles match one-on-one with him?
Me and Fox have never even touched in the ring yet.
Really?
Yeah, we like he'll sit there and he'll watch my stuff, give me advice, and we'll talk. But we have not been able to like touch in the ring, and I cannot wait to have that match.
I'd pay to see that. Someone out there book it.
Mainstay and Evolve being like every being on every single show. I want to be on every single WWN show, and maybe like hopefully NXT if it works out for me in the next year or so. I would love to go to NXT. That's obviously the main goal, but
yeah,
that's kind of like where my mind's at right now. Another huge goal for me is PWG.
That would be amazing. Yeah,
that's on the bucket list.
I feel like they really haven't. I love PWG to death, but at the same time, I don't really feel like they're as focused on the future. Because, you've got guys who are on the indies like Joey Janela, JT Dunn, Jonathan Gresham, I'm like, come on, you have to understand that these guys need to be there, But you're still seeing matches from, Super Dragon and Joey Ryan. No offense to them, but it's like, I feel like PWG needs to look a little more towards the future, and I could definitely see you there.
I would like PWG. I'd say it's the all-star game of pro wrestling. Like you're not a top guy unless you work for PWG. Like it's like a who's who. It's like the all-star game. Like you look at the NBA, like all the best players go to the all-star game, and that's what PWG is. It's the all-star game of pro wrestling. I want to be there one day.
Is there another wrestler kind of on the independent scene who it's on Twitter? A lot of people have been joking about Cody Rhodes' list he's been making, but is there another one besides AR Fox that you're really kind of zoned in on? Personally, when I thought of you and I thought about that question, I don't know why, but the first name that came to mind was Lio Rush.
I've met Lio a few times. He's never touched in the ring, but I think we could have some real good matches. Me and Leo. Let's say AR Fox is on the list. I would say Sammy's on the list, but that's happening in like 2 weeks, so I could scratch that one off. Another guy for a singles match would be Ricochet. He's
oh yeah.
There. Like that's a dream match. Trent Beretta, Trevor Lee, 1-on-1. We've had like we've been in like a tag match a couple times, like a scramble. We never like wrestled 1-on-1. Trevor Lee's another one. There's a guy out here by the name of Matt Palmer. He's from Texas. He's really good. He's been wrestling for a while. He's actually Ember Moon's husband. He's so good, underrated. Desmond Xavier is another guy. He's out in Ohio. I love to wrestle. Yay High, obviously. If I could somehow get in a tag match with the Young Bucks, that'd be awesome. I love the Young Bucks.
I do too. I would love to see that.
I think they're the best thing in pro wrestling right now.
I definitely agree.
Man, there's so many. I want to wrestle everybody, actually.
Yeah.
But like, if I just like list some people right off the top of my head, like, that would be the list.
I think we're winding down a bit towards the end, but there's a question that's been on my mind. It's not necessarily about your career. It's not about your career. It's about a friend that you mentioned, but it's been driving me crazy for weeks. Sami Callihan's whole new Space Cat gimmick. Can you explain that at all? Because it's been driving me crazy. Do you have any insider information on that?
Well, who do you think took the picture? Sami Callihan is actually my roommate. So like he just like he had this cat mask sitting on the table. He's like, what if I just take a picture in this cat mask? Like, that'd be pretty funny. I said. Then we saw the umbrella. He's like, well, I'm wrestling Marty Scurll. I'm gonna put this mask on. I'm gonna take a picture. So it became Space Cat, and it's just a thing now.
Because I remember I tweeted him about it. I was like, can anyone explain Space Cat? And he just retweeted it, didn't say anything about it. And I went, Sammy, like, I need to know, man.
You can't really explain Space Cat.
It's
Space Cat.
I just wanted to know if there was any like deeper meaning to it. No, it's just a cat mask.
It's just a cat mask. It just happened. It's awesome.
Oh, wrestling. Oh, I love you.
It's just we were playing WWE 2K16 and we looked over and he's like, what if I just start coming out with a cat mask? You should totally come out with a cat mask. And then it happened. And it's over now.
So I think we've reached the end of the episode. Is there anything you want to say before you have to go?
Anyone that's listening that is aspiring to, or is aspiring wrestler or anything, once again with WWN, anytime there's a seminar, go ahead and do it. Gabe Spolsky, he's going to give you great advice on how you book. Gulak's going to help you in ring stuff. Tracy Williams is there to help as well. It's a great atmosphere. And if you want to follow me on social media, it's @FlyCadeFly on Twitter and Instagram. And that's pretty much it.
Well, again, thank you, Jason, for talking to me. I really hope that your career skyrockets this next year.
I hope so too, man. Thank you for the support and wanting to talk to me.
No problem, man. Keep doing you.
All right, thank you, man.
Thank you.